In this video, we're going to go through how you can set up your assignments in Google Classroom. So there are a few ways we can go about this. If you look down here in the corner, you'll find that there's a plus sign. And what that allows you to do, it's a drop up menu. I would say drop down, but it's a drop up menu. And you can create an announcement, create an assignment, create a question, or reuse a post that you've used in the past. So now one of these new features is you can reuse posts that you've already used with other classes. So if it's just a normal assignment that you want your students to turn in, something you want graded, I would suggest clicking on Create an Assignment. If it's just a conversation piece, like you want to get feedback from your students, something that's non-graded, then you can either create a question or you can create an announcement. Creating an assignment just gives us a little bit more structure when we're looking at Google Classroom. So I'm going to click Create an Assignment. And since I only have one class set up with this, I don't have a drop-down menu down here. But normally you would have a drop-down menu where you could actually assign it to multiple classes at one time. So I'm just going to use Test Assignment as my assignment title. And we can change the due date here, but it makes it extremely hard to edit the due date after you've already assigned it. So make sure this is exactly when you want it assigned. And here's what I would suggest. If you're going through and wanting them to complete an assignment on here, and you need them to type it in, click on your Drive button. And here's what we're going to do. Let's say I have a document that I really want my students to complete. What I'm going to do, or how about form? I can insert here. I can insert the document in, and then it gives me some options here where my students can just view the file, which doesn't make it extremely helpful sometimes. If I really want my students to type on this document and answer questions on the document, then they need to do more than just view. Students can edit the file. Now, if you select that one, that means they can edit the master file that you've attached. So that means every student in there will be editing the same document. So they'll be typing right on top of each other. But here's the one that you probably want to do. Make a copy for each student. That means every student gets their own copy of this document that they can type into. It won't mess with anybody else's copy. It won't mess with your copy. If you do that, then you'll actually be able to assign it. Now, one thing that I need to mention. My document here says it's a Word document. Somebody has shared this with me and shared a Word document with me. If it's a Word document, it will not allow your students to edit that copy because guess what? On their Chromebooks, they don't have Word. So let's say I found that out and figured out, oh, I need to find something else from my drive. Easy enough. You just click the X. So let's go back in here and figure out exactly what we need. And I've got quite a few things in my drive. So let's say that I want to share this out, adding files to Google Sites. And I'm going to make a copy for each student. It tells me that it's a Google Doc, so that means my students can edit it right there. And it gives me a few options. I can save it as a draft if I want to come back to it later, or I can go ahead and straight assign it. It also gives you the option to add links, add videos. You can add a good bit to this at one time. Now, let's say you want to go back in here and edit anything. It does make it possible to edit due dates, but once your students start completing it, it makes it nearly impossible to go through here and edit. So let's say, hey, I want to add a YouTube video that I found. Even though your students can add YouTube videos, you can put that in there. I would hope at some point in the future we might be able to access this, but for now, we just can't. Or if it's an attachment. If you're doing anything in Classroom, though, probably the best thing is going to be something where they can type in and submit it electronically. Now, in order to go to this assignment, let's say that we're done, we're ready to grade it. See, this is the first time I've ever been in here, and it tells me everything I need to. Okay, I got it. So if I want to know exactly what that student turned in, I can see that this student doesn't have anything turned in right now. So I'm going to add a grade, and it gets a 0 because it's not turned in. It also allows me to send a private note. So if I want to send a note saying, hey, you still haven't turned this in, you can, and it'll be a private conversation in between you and the student. Once you're done grading, make sure you hit return. Now, it gives you this option to email selected students, but if you just hit return, it'll show up in their drive. It'll also save it on your end. And as soon as you type that in, it's saved. So if we go back out and then go back in here to this assignment, you'll notice that that grade is still saved. Even if we haven't returned it, it's still saved there. It even tells us it's not returned yet. Make sure you return each assignment so that the students can see their grade. Now, you'll notice that your classroom might get a little full throughout time. So I would suggest after every quarter, after you know that you really don't need those grades anymore, they're already recorded somewhere else, I would go through and delete the assignment. If you do this every quarter, it kind of helps keep your classroom cleaned up a little bit because all of those will show up. Here's the other neat thing. All of the documents that were submitted to you will still stay in the Drive folder. So you still have access to all the student documents. It just gets rid of that assignment in the Google Classroom side of it.